Hi friends, my name's Naomi. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm coming at you with my September TBR. This is a long one, so bear with me, grab your snacks. Like I said, this is a really long TBR video. I have already made a whole separate video talking about my London/Scotland TBR. So I will be in London and Scotland the first week of September. So I already made a whole separate video on those books. And now I'm going to be talking about two readathons that I'm co-hosting this month, as well as Hispanic Heritage Month Hispanic Heritage Month books. If you know me and you've been around here for a while, every year I make a TBR for Hispanic Heritage Month books that I want to read, as well as a recommendations video of books to read during Hispanic Heritage Month. I try to not do repeats of books, so it's new set of Hispanic authors, Latino stories every year. So yeah, I'm gonna get started with the readathons, and then I'll end with the Hispanic Heritage Month books. And if you don't know, Hispanic Heritage Month runs from September 15th through October 15th, so just so you know. So yes, like I said, I am co-hosting two readathons this month. The first one is the Vampire Diaries readathon. You still have time to sign up. So basically the way that this is working is that we have Team Stefan and we have Team Damon. Myself and Lucy are co-hosts for the Team Stefan team, the right team to be in. I know everyone loves Damon, but he's really toxic, so just join the correct team, which is Team Stefan, please. I've always been a Stefan girly, but anyway, the Vampire Diaries readathon is a month-long readathon, so it is a pretty large TBR that I have in front of me. I'm gonna go through all of the wonderful prompts that were created by Chloe from Chloe Reads Books. Also, Becca is the co-host for the Team Damon. So yeah, I'm going to go through all of the wonderful prompts and talk about the books that I'm trying to read for the Vampire Diaries readathon. So pretty much the Vampire Diaries readathon prompts are sort of like a tour of the Mystic Falls town, which is really, really fun. So yeah, and also to gather points for your team, you have to add them to a Google form, and Chloe's actually going to be doing a giveaway potentially. Just subscribe to all of us and follow us on like social media. There's a Vampire Diaries readathon Twitter as well for all of the information. So the first prompt is Clock Tower, and it is to read a book with a supernatural element. So of course I'm going to be reading about vampires during the Vampire Diaries readathon. So the first book that I'm trying to read is Vampires of El Norte by Isabel Cañas. I've been calling this Vampires of El Norte because honestly, vampires in Spanish is spelled the same way, so I just thought the whole title was in Spanish, but it makes sense that it's Vampires of El Norte because I saw somebody else mention this and they said vampires, and I'm like, oh yeah, it is spelled the same way. But anyway, Vampires of El Norte is set in Mexico City. It's 1800s, and it is a gothic western vampire supernatural book. I'm really excited to read it. I've only read one other book by Isabel Cañas, which was The Hacienda. It wasn't a super favorite of mine, but I am willing to give Isabel Cañas a try again because I really liked her writing. So I'm excited to see what she does with vampires. And also, this book just seems like Jasper's from Twilight. It just seems like his backstory. Like if you watch, I forget which is a movie from Twilight. I think it's not New Moon, is the other one. I'm blanking on it, but you know how they do the Jasper flashback and it's like kind of Western? This is what I'm feeling. I'm feeling Jasper backstory vibes, and I'm really excited about it. So yeah, this book will make another appearance later on. So the next prompt is Mystic Grill, and it is to read a book featuring a friendship. So for that, if you watched my London/Scotland TBR, you may have seen this book already. This is such a weird setup. And that is Again But Better by Christine Riccio. This book is set in London, so I'm planning on reading this while I'm over there in London. And basically this novel follows Shane, and it's like her last year in college. She feels like she's done it all wrong because she hasn't made a lot of friends. So her biggest thing in this book is traveling abroad for studying abroad and making friends. So it's all about friendship and making connections and meeting people. So I figured it would be good for this prompt. Next up, I have Mystic Falls High School. Read a book with a high school setting, or with a school setting in general. And for that, I have My Oxford Year by Julia Whelan. So excited for this one. I've mentioned also in my London/Scotland TBR, this is set in London. So I'm really hoping to read Again But Better, My Oxford Year, and maybe The Hunting Party while I'm in London and Scotland, but I don't know, we'll see. But yeah, My Oxford Year pretty much follows this girl whose dream has been to go to Oxford University, and a whole bunch of adventure and like a coming of age story. I love Julia Whelan. She wrote my favorite romance book called Thank You for Listening. So I'm really excited to give this one a try. I believe this is more like on the young adult side because it is like college years. Maybe she may be like 22, 24. She may be around my age. So really pumped for that. And yeah. The next prompt is Salvatore Boarding House. It is to read a book with a historical element. So for that, I am going to be reading Family Lore by Elizabeth Acevedo. This is Elizabeth Acevedo's first adult literary fiction work. It is magical realism. There's a dual timeline, and there is a historical element because it is set in the present time. And then I forget what the other timeline is. It doesn't say it in the description in here, but I did see on Goodreads that there's two separate timelines. So that's where the historical element comes into play, and this lighting just messed everything up. But yes, Family Lore, historical element. I'm really excited to read this one as well. This lighting just got so weird. I'm gonna have to close this blind. Hold on. All right, I think we're good now. No! Oh my God. Oh, should I leave that in? That's so funny. All right, my ring light just fell. Everything was chaotic, but we're back. The next prompt is Lockwood Mansion. It is to read a popular book. I went on Barnes & Noble website and looked up what the popular books were, and one of them I actually have from the library, and I've been meaning to read it, and it's The Half Moon by Mary Beth Keane. She wrote, she wrote Ask Again, Yes. On the inside here, it says, a masterful novel about a couple in a small town who must navigate the complexities of marriage, family, and longing. Sounds like a fun time. This lighting is so weird. I'm sorry. The next prompt is Wickery Bridge, and it is to read a thriller. So for that, I am hoping to read The Hunting Party by Lucy Foley. I also talked about this book in my London/Scotland TBR, and this one I've read by Lucy Foley, The Guest List, and I've been told that this book is very similar, but instead of it being a wedding, it's kind of like a camping hunting party thing. It's like a whole bunch of friends that kind of go into the woods, and I don't know, someone dies, and I'm super excited for this book. I've heard great things about it, and I really like The Guest List by Lucy Foley, so hopefully I like this one as well. The next prompt is Mystery Falls Cemetery, and it is to read a book with a dark cover. So I am really excited to read this one, and that is Silver Nitrate by Silvia Moreno Garcia. This is Silvia Moreno's latest and greatest, and it is a noir book, and it is set in like a film setting, and it's a haunted film setting, so it follows the film industry. I believe it's set in Mexico City, and I'm so excited for this one. I truly, out of all of Silvia Moreno Garcia's books, I loved Velvet Was the Night the most, and that one was a noir. So I like that she's writing more in this genre because I really enjoyed it the first time that I read it. So yeah, I'm really excited. The next prompt is Gilbert House, and it is to read a romance. And for that, I'm actually going to be picking up this random manga that I got at a conference for my job. They had a whole bunch of arcs and stuff. And they were giving out the first volume of Like a Butterfly by Sue Morishita, and the lady just said that it is a romance manga. It is kind of a coming of age story. This girl looks like a not college, but high school girl, and I'm excited. So I'll be reading a manga romance for this one. The next one is Forbes House, and it is to read a book with a party in it. And for that, I'm going to be reading Suddenly a Murder by Loren Munoz. Thank you so much to Penguin Teen for sending me an ARC and a final copy of this book. I'm so excited. And yeah, this one follows these two girls, Izzy and Cassidy, and they are throwing a 1920s themed party to celebrate the end of high school, and Cassidy's boyfriend somehow, some way ends up dead, and everyone in this book is a suspect. So really excited to read it. And yeah, this is a young adult mystery thriller, and I love young adult mystery thrillers, so I'm really excited to read it. And the last prompt for the Vampire Diaries Readathon is to read it's Mystic Falls, and it is to read a vampire book, of course. So for that, I am planning to read a book that is very close to my heart, and that is Vampire by Carolina Andújar. So this book is called Vampir. This book is in Spanish, and I haven't read in Spanish in so long, since I lived in Puerto Rico. This book was my sister's favorite book, and it was the only book that we owned for a long time. So I've read this book like twice, I believe, and my sister has read it even more times than that. In Puerto Rico, books aren't super accessible, and especially at the time that I lived there. So we only owned one book, so that's all we could read. So I really, really love this book. Like I said, it's vampires. It's very gothic. It's set in a boarding school. It's really creepy. It's wonderful. If anyone knows anything about the Countess of Blood, who it was like a real woman, Elizabeth Bathory, this book has her in it. So it's really, really cool. I truly love it, and I wish it was translated in English so everyone that like follows me, because it's mainly people that follow me read in English, could read it. But if you read in Spanish or you know any Spanish, please look this up, because it's an amazing, amazing book. I love it, and you will love it too. So that is it for the Vampire Diaries Readathon, and next up I'm going to be talking about the Upside Down Readathon. We did a round of this last year, and I am happy to be doing it again with Kendall from Bookphoria, Jordan from Sorry Book Solid, and Olivia from Liv's Library. Again, we're just celebrating Stranger Things. We love that show. So we have a couple of prompts here. I'll talk you through them. I will leave all of the dates and everything below, because out of the top of my head, I'm not remembering. I know it's like mid-September, but I don't want to say anything wrong, so I'll leave it down below or on the screen. So yeah, Upside Down Readathon, I have the prompts in front of me. I will read them for you, and we hope that you join. There will be a book buddy read. So all of us picked a character. I picked Mr. Eddie Munson, of course, and his buddy read is Night of the Mannequins. I looked up books that like Eddie Munson would read, and this was one of them that came up. Don't know much about it. I think it's like a horror novella, so it's super short. So if you want to read it with me, please do. But yeah, that is the buddy read, and that is one of the prompts, but I'm getting ahead of myself. So the first prompt for the Upside Down Readathon is Eggos, and it is to read a book with food on the cover. So for that, I'm going to be reading Crying in H Mart by Michelle Zauner. And as you can see, there are noodles on the cover. This is a memoir. I've heard nothing but amazing things about this book. Michelle Zauner is actually going to be here in Cleveland next year, and I'm most likely going to be going to that author signing, so I really want to read it before that happens, of course. So this is what I'm reading. I don't know much about her. I know that she used to be in a band, I think. I'm not too sure. I don't know anything about Michelle Zauner, so I am sorry, but I'm really excited to read it and learn more about her. So the next prompt for the Upside Down Readathon is Trick or Treat. And it is to read a book that takes place during the fall season or on Halloween. I'm sure a ton of these books take place during the fall season. For that, I'm probably going to be double dipping my toes and going to be using Vampire for that, because I've read this book before. I know that it's during the school year, so I know that there's a fall season in there, so probably going to be reading this for that. Or also, in a later prompt, I'm going to be talking about this book, but Rules for Vanishing by Kate Alice Marshall. So yeah, one of those. The next prompt is The Battle of Starcourt Mall, and it is to read a book with nostalgic vibes. For me, I'm going to be reading Vampire because, like I mentioned, this book, I read this when I was a kid. It probably shouldn't have been, but I read this when I was a kid. It was like one of the first books that I ever read, and it just gives me nostalgic vibes, so I'm going to be reading this one. The next prompt is Vecna, and it is to read a book with a haunted house, and for that, I'm going to be reading Rules for Vanishing by K. Alice Marshall. I know that this is supernatural and it has ghosts in it. I'm not too sure if it's a haunted house specifically, but I'm going to hope that it is because otherwise I couldn't really find any other books that had haunted house settings. So yeah, I'm hoping this one does. And the last prompt is to read a host buddy read based on your favorite character. Like I said, mine is Eddie Munson, and I will be reading Night of the Mannequins for that. And yeah, all of the other hosts picked a character and they have buddy reads. So go over to all of their channels and see what character they chose and what book they're planning on reading for that. Alrighty, the last section of this is the Hispanic Heritage Month reads. So I have all of the ones that I'm talking about I've already mentioned, but the only one that I haven't talked about is Monstrillo by Gerardo Samano Cordova. I'm actually reading this for the Literary Dead Book Club with Kayla from Books and Lala. She asked me to be a co-host. All I know about this book is that it's written by a Mexican author. It is pretty short. Don't know much about it. I'll just look it up here while we're here. Okay, so Monstrillo, I'll give you a really quick summary. It says a literary horror debut about a boy who transforms into a monster who tries to be a man, and the people who love him in every form he takes. Interesting. It says it is a horror, fiction, fantasy, magical realism, and queer. So I'm really excited to read it with Kayla for her book club. And yeah. I don't know when the discussion is happening yet, so I will let you all know. Probably on Instagram is the best bet. So yeah. And then other books that of course I'm reading for Hispanic Heritage Month are Vampire by Carolina Andújar, Family Lore by Elizabeth Acevedo, Suddenly a Murder by Lore Muñoz, Silver Nitrate by Silvia Moreno Garcia, and Vampires of el Norte by Isabel Cañas. Alrighty. Just moved. Alrighty, we did it. That is all. Again, like I said, please join us for the Vampire Diaries Readathon. I'm so excited. Join Team Stefan. No Team Damon, please. And also the Upside Down Readathon, please join us. And please, 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 even if it's just one book, try to read a book by a Hispanic author, Latino author, whatever it is. Try to read at least one during September through October 15th for Hispanic Heritage Month to celebrate Hispanic culture. That is all from me. I don't want to keep talking anymore because I've been talking for way too long. I hope y'all enjoyed this video and my TBR and everything. I will see you guys soon with another video, probably my London vlog that I'm so excited for. So yeah, I will see you guys soon with another video.